In today's episode of the Brains Bite Map podcast, we speak with Techko, president of Techko Group, a family-run consumer electronics company. And in this episode, Ted shares how his family started the company in 1982, originally finding a footing with landline phones, and he also shares how this has evolved into a diverse range of consumer electronics. He also talks about the company's role in building smart cities and their focus on sustainability. And additionally, Ted shares some really interesting case studies on how their products have helped their consumers in a number of unique and creative ways. I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
So my name is Ted Ko. I'm the president here at Techko. Techko stands for Technology Co. We're a family-owned business. My father started the company in 1982. Sort of my role is as president is sort of doing the strategy and going big picture and then going all the way down to the day-to-day operations. So kind of everything in between. So a little average day might look like I'll wake up in the morning, make my coffee and start thinking through sort of big picture strategy of, okay, where are we on our quarterly goals? Where are we on our monthly goals? And then start out that day that way, and then go all the way down to like answering some customer service emails by the end of the day. So a little bit of everything, just try to make the company successful and then make our team successful.
Fantastic. That's awesome. That's so cool that you're a family like run business and it's just passed down like that. And I do know that the Techko Group just celebrated its 40th anniversary. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Can you share, can you share with listeners like how Techko Group first started and how it's evolved over the years?
Yeah, so the Techko Group, we've always just been really focused on consumer electronics. My father started the company in telephones. So we had the company originally was called Telco. And if you remember the product that kind of got its first foot off the ground and the first hit was landline home telephones. So I was talking to my younger sister and some of her friends, and they were like, what's that? Like they have like little inklings. They just graduated from university. So little inklings of what that product was. But the way I told them is like, you know how in Stranger Things, you know how when they're at home and they're all talking with their friends and they all have these like long phone cords connected to their walls, like that was the product. So Techko started with, landline telephones in the 80s, and following that thread of consumer electronic through different waves, we've done home security, office products like pencil sharpeners and shredders and sort of everything in between there. And then about a decade ago, we got into vacuum cleaner, home products, robotic vacuum cleaners, and then now we're doing outdoor solar lighting. So it's just been a long 4 decades of just continued innovation and thinking through new consumer products and gadgets.
That's really cool. And it's amazing that you've touched on so many areas during that period of time. And I do have to say, that's a fantastic idea to use Stranger Things to really put into context what a landline phone is. I just turned 30 myself, and I do feel like we're the last generation that's going to even remember what they are.
Yeah, I mean, I grew with them similarly. Like we're around the same age, and I have very small inklings of it. So now I just have to reference new Netflix TV shows and hits.
Yeah, no, I mean, it works. It's the best way to do it. Now, I also know that you were previously featured on the Sociable talking about the smart city revolution and eco-friendly urban planning. Can you share what Techko Group is doing to help create and improve modern smart cities?
Yeah, so like I said, we've gone through 4 decades of just different product lines, especially in consumer electronics. And so in each sort of decade, if you kind of split that up as a chapter, there's always obviously different trends, different things happening in the macroeconomic environment, the literal environment. And so where we kind of see ourselves heading in the next 10 years is really thinking about sustainability and really thinking about being intentional with how we consume products, how we consume energy. And that's why we've made this push the last few years really into solar lighting. The way I think about smart cities, I think the obvious answer is like everything is controllable on your phone, right? And we're kind of inundated with that kind of thinking. But from a product strategy standpoint and a philosophy point of view, I really think about like smart means it kind of handles itself. And so, our products, they all solar charge. There's no wires. They turn on at nighttime once it goes dark. They turn off when it's daytime, and they start charging during the day. Like they're very simple. They're not too quote unquote like chip heavy, or they're not running AI and they're not running ray tracing graphics or things like that, but they work. They operate as you plan them to. They're kind of, they give you that peace of mind. You kind of set it and you forget it. And so that's kind of how I've been thinking about smart cities. Smart being more of a way of things happening without you having to control everything. So that's kind of the way we're thinking about the future and products later down the road.
That makes absolute sense, and I think that that's really smart the way you're like taking such a conscious approach towards your products, and yeah, it's really future proofing them in that sense. And I would be curious to know, do you have any case studies of how the users of your products have been positively impacted by what you offer?
Yeah, so like I said, we've had hundreds of different gadgets and products, so the stories are pretty endless. I was thinking, so one of our core product lines right now is actually, like I mentioned, that we did home security. So one of the core product lines is pool alarms. And so we sell these very accessible pool alarms for gates and doors and screen doors and windows, like, anything that leads to a pool. So on that product line, we just have lots of customers who just bought a new house and they're super excited to move in. Maybe they moved from the Northeast and they're down in, Texas or Florida or California, ready to enjoy the summer weather. And, things with new home ownership, obviously you have, the cost of the home and buying the home and all those things. And then you get hit with like maintenance and HVAC and inspections and stuff like that. And of those inspections, pool is a big part because drowning is actually one of the largest causes of death in children, young children under 14. So our pool alarm is just a very simple DIY product, super accessible price point in that category where people can just kind of buy it, keep their home safe, keep their pool safe, keep their kids safe, and just enjoy that new house and have that summer barbecue or summer fun. So, that's what we want to give as a product experience, and not, be super focused on, specs and gadgets and stuff like that. So that's just one of the products. And then solar lighting, I think for me, the most interesting thing. So we offer like 75 different solar lighting products, from pathway lights to like portable lanterns to wall sconces, exterior lightings, or everything you can think of. And the best part is just to seeing how creative the customers can actually be with our products. So I got an email a couple weeks ago. A customer was asking, "Oh, so how do I fasten my products to a high velocity object?" And I was like, what does that mean? I was like, these are designed to go on your house. Like, I don't expect a house to be high velocity. And they said that they bought a bunch of the lights to fasten to the side of their boat. Like, they take a boat out in the summer and they don't have a power grid, in the middle of the Pacific or in the Gulf of Mexico. So they were like, hey, we got these lights. They're waterproof, they're water resistant, they work really well. What do we do? And so then it's just us hopping on an email thread and chatting with the customer, figuring out, okay, how do we make you successful? Like, how do we create, great ambiance on a boat at high velocities with lots of water, working with electronics, And so, that creativity from the customer and how they surprise us with how they use our products, is super fun. And I think that's part of the reason why doing this is so much fun for me. Prior, I've spent time in consulting and venture capital, at startups, and had intentionally left those fields because in consulting or in venture capital, you're really dealing with stakeholders. You're not dealing with like real people or real customers. So I miss that interaction all the time.
I can understand that, and definitely when you've got like a business to consumer kind of like a line of interaction, you're going to go out to far more people, and it's really cool to see that you're making a difference in people's lives, not only to help people whether they're on a boat and they need some lighting, or literally saving lives in the case of what you mentioned there with the pools. So that's fantastic that you folks are having such a widespread impact in so many people's lives. And I'd be interested to know, I mean, I know there are a lot of like tech companies out there. Like, are there any other companies operating in the space that you're in specifically? And if so, how do you differentiate yourself from the competition?
Yeah, of course, there's lots of companies out there doing lighting, solar lighting, gadgets, electronics. Like, it's smart in the sense of, cellular chips, Wi-Fi chips, and all those things. It's hard not to get a little bit psyched out by the competition because of the internet. I got like 15 headlines on my phone this morning saying, oh, there's this new product release. There's this new thing. I follow all these things. I follow all the retail sites and price checkers and all that stuff. I think what keeps us grounded or differentiated with our competition is we're really just focused on ourselves. Like I said, we are a family-owned business, and that gives us the opportunity to really think about how we want to run the company, the values that I believe in personally, but also how does that translate in a professional setting. So, I would say other competitors in our category are really just focused on like, hey, here's this light, here's the specs, here's how many lumens they are, here's the price. I'm $5 cheaper than the next person on Amazon, so I want to win that Prime buy box and do that. And we kind of sit at, okay, hey, we sell a solar lighting product. We believe in its quality. I spend the time to sit down and like hand sketch, and I was sketching some product ideas out this morning. And I go, hey, do we think people will like this? And if the answer is yes, then we double down and go through all the manufacturing and design and prototyping and all that process. And if we just don't believe in the product ourselves for whatever reason, we thought it was a good idea, it was a whim, and we're like, asked a few people, it's not great, then we just say, okay, like we don't have to do it, and we don't have to worry about cost cutting. So I think it's we get afforded that opportunity to really be grounded within ourselves, and that's what we're focused on rather than just looking at the competition all the time.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. And it does sound like you're putting a lot of time, quality, effort, and above all, passion into the work that you folks do. And you obviously have time on your side in the sense that you've been doing it for so long. And with regards to time, I want to know what is next on the horizon for you folks at Techko Group? Yeah,
I think it's, still sticking with the roots, still sticking with, the muscles that we're trained and we're good with. We're launching some new products by the end of this year and for sure in the beginning of 2024, mostly in solar lighting, but I will tease that we are entering another consumer electronic category, sort of adjacent to solar lighting as well. And it's just continuing that kind of ethos of, hey, we have an idea, we want to test it, we believe in it, or we don't believe in it and we still want to test it and just see what happens, being able to move fast. I just want to keep that going, for hopefully the next 40 years and keep testing out new products. Yeah.
Well, I certainly hope that you folks are able to do that, because it sounds like you're super passionate about your work, and that's really nice to see. And Ted, if people want to keep up to date with the work that you folks are doing at Techko Group, or even with yourself personally, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so I think the best way for me is just to connect on my LinkedIn. My name's Ted Co, and then not to be confused with the company, obviously Techko. And then company, we have a blog on techkogroup.com. And we're just posting some new news, anything we think of that's fun, any new releases that we have, or any new retailers that we're opening up as well. So yeah, our site and then my LinkedIn is great. And, like I said, I look at our customer service emails every day. So even if you want to drop a line to say hi, I will most likely be responding on the other side.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, we'll also include those links in the show notes for anyone that's listening. But otherwise, Ted, thank you for joining me today, and best of luck with you and your family and the business. I think what you're doing is great.
Great. Thank you, Sam.
That is it for today's episode. Thank you for joining us. I hope you've learned something, and if you have benefited from today's episode, please consider leaving us a review on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast, as these reviews really help us grow the show. You can also follow us wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Just search Brainspike Back and you will find us. We hope you join us for more episodes in the future, and until then, take care.